Cebu Pacific's Piso Fare is back, and along with my travel buddies on this airlines promo, we're flying its A330 Neo. And what's our itinerary? Take the same aircraft to and from Davao City. It's that Piso Fare. Why not take a joyride with friends and have fun traveling by air? It's one of those same-day return flights aboard the Philippines' best low-cost carrier, where adventures and good times with friends and crew members mix. It's all happening here in Airline Travel in Airports. And we find ourselves back in Terminal 3, where our flight to Cebu Pacific begins. After being screened at the airport's entrance, we continued on to the departure hall to look for a kiosk to do our check-in. Now this is one thing Cebu Pacific has to make our travel experience with them a bit more convenient. With no luggage to check in, we're able to skip lining up at the counters, and instead, we just enter our flight details on this machine. Nothing to be intimidated about when using this. All you gotta enter is your surname and locator number, and just under a minute, our boarding passes are printed. It's that simple and it's that quick. Now all we gotta do is just head to our assigned gate, meeting up with another travel buddy on the way. But before we get there, we pass through another screening to make sure only valid travelers on that day can get to the area. Once we got past the last security check, we can't help do some plane spotting. And of course, airline crew spotting. It seems we were able to join our flight's crew members in time as they make their way to board our aircraft. We're using Cebu Pacific's A330 Neo for today's flight to Davao and back, and it's no surprise to have that many crew members for this type of plane we're using. So, while waiting to board, me and my friends indulge in something we like doing, watching planes, fortunately up close. Soon it was time to board, and all the more it got exciting as these are rare times I get to fly with Cebu Pacific, especially aboard the A330 Neo.
Hello. Good morning. 11, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, side to Manila. Okay.
It's simply magic, as if I'm flying for the first time. My impression? They sure have friendly crew members, and this aircraft's cabin? It's simply neat. For a low-cost carrier, I'd say this aircraft is well maintained, that I can hardly spot any seat that's worn out. Though I'm seated up front, we took the chance to just go straight to the back to explore the cabin, while there are not much people around just yet. With the cabin still empty, it seems like a long walk to the far end. But let's just do this real quick, as we don't get to fly the A330 Neo that often.
The aircraft is being refueled. As a safety precaution, please unfasten your seatbelt and put your seat back upright. Use of electronic devices, such as laptops, mobile phones, tablets, and any spark-producing equipment is not allowed. Smoking is strictly prohibited. Ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft is being refueled.
Now once we got to the back, it was time to do a bit of some selfies and photo ops. These are times when we take lots of photos while the cabin's empty, as if we chartered the entire plane to ourselves. More to it, it's a good time to mingle with crew members, where we're also given in-flight magazines for us to take home as souvenir. For me, it was also a good time to inform the crew to save me some model planes and find me in my assigned seat, as I will definitely purchase some of their merchandise. So far, my request has been acknowledged, and all I gotta do is sit back later and relax, knowing that I'll be taking home some model planes very soon. In the meantime, the cabin is filled up with passengers, and it's gonna be difficult to make our way up front to where we're seated. So, all we can do is mingle some more and observe how crew members prepare for the flight while we hang out just a bit while at the back. Now it seems it's gonna be a full flight, based from the number of passengers coming in, though I doubt that the premium seats up front will get filled as they sure charge extra for it. And while seats here remain unoccupied for now, let me just check some features of this plane's seats. Take note that all seats aboard this plane are all the same, and to what I've learned, these seats don't recline. But one thing I really appreciate seeing is the presence of power outlets, which are very useful, especially when you're in dire need of juicing up your gadgets. Meanwhile, the cabin's filling up fast, and we're stuck at the back trying to figure out how we're gonna make our way up front. Looks like we gotta hang out a bit more at the rear galley before we find an opportunity to rush back to our seat, as cabin doors will be closed shortly.
Ang lipad na ito ay pinangunahan ni Kapitan Roberto Uson sa tulong ni Unang Opisyal Terence Cyril Cruz at Unang Opisyal Andre Bugas.
Soon, our plane's pushback begins, with me and my travel buddies, along with the rest of the passengers, all settled quietly in our seats. With some trying to catch some sleep, I'm just as restless, observing what's around and what's outside my window. I can only sit and wait for one of the fun parts of flying. Once we're up in the air, there's not much yet to do, but to enjoy the view of the wing cutting through the clouds as we quietly ascend, only to get a bit excited upon seeing crew members prepare for in-flight service. Of course, this is one of my reasons in flying with Cebu Pacific, checking out what snacks they have to offer based on the choices seen from their catalogs. A bit pricey though, but my intention, even if I don't really need to munch on anything, I'm all for interacting with crew members while ordering stuff from what they have in their cart. Though this Manila to Davao flight lasts for almost 2 hours, I guess one of my entertainment is to shop for food items as well as airline merchandise, since seats in this budget carrier don't have IFEs. Other than that, it's just good to have travel buddies around to keep me company, especially when having snacks 40,000 feet high above the ground. For the first round of their in-flight service, snacks are sold to passengers to be followed by airline merchandise, to which I plan to get me a Cebu Pacific model plane as a souvenir. So for now, it seems it's gonna be breakfast for me. But my mistake, I ordered red wine for drinks instead of coffee. You know the effects of alcohol on high altitudes, and instead of keeping me up, all the more I felt kinda sleepy. Meanwhile, as travel buddy Kenneth gets busy taking photos of the wing, I decided to walk around as the front area of the cabin isn't that filled compared to the rear. A bit of exercise to keep my blood circulating. I walk up to check on my friend Alex Luiz to see if he needs anything. We just came from a trip to Coron, just 2 days before this flight, and it seems he wants to skip breakfast and would rather catch some sleep. With it, I thought of exploring the remaining area up front, walking all the way up to check on what's to see in this aircraft's front lavatory. Back in my seat, I can hardly wait for the next cart to reach me, and when it did, it was just time to burn some money.
What's the outlet
also
then?
have the seatbelt.
The seatbelt, how much is it?
This one is for 250. We also have the tote bag, plastic folder. We also have a cup. We have a tumbler, pero hindi kasi siya kita.
But this one, 1,050, is it?
Finally, for 1,050 pesos, I'm able to get me a plastic snap-on A330 model plane. And while I'm busy assembling my souvenir for my TikTok vids, Kenneth, on the other hand, is still preoccupied, taking clips of the view outside until we realized our plane has slowly been descending, that we needed to strap ourselves to our seats in preparation for landing. Glad we're landing soon in Davao City. while since I last visited Davao City. The twist here, though, is that me and my friends are staying here for less than an hour. Talk about doing a quick turnaround, we're just in for the airplane ride.
For our guests needing assistance such as wheelchair, please be advised to the plane last for proper ground endorsement. Para sa aming panauhin na nangangailangan ng tulong tulad ng wheelchair, kayo po ang huling bababa. Maraming salamat po.
Eager to disembark, we all lined up in front, only to be told that we'll be exiting on another door. In that case, with a good view from where I'm standing, let me just take a look how flight attendants open the door of this A330 Neo. Anyhow, you might be asking why the short stay in Davao. The story here is that me and my travel buddies are aviation enthusiasts, and with Cebu Pacific having a seat sale back then, we decided to try out their A330 Neo aircraft just to experience what it's like to fly aboard it, as well as create some content for TikTok and YouTube. That's just it. Okay, so it's time to exit the plane. If this was a smaller aircraft, it'll be a mad dash for us to get to departures, so we can make it to the boarding gates quick. And knowing we're using the same big plane, yeah, we can spare a few minutes. No need to run, as these days, we don't have to line up at the check-in counters, and instead, use our electronic boarding passes from our apps to get to the boarding gates. That means, with the short time we have here at Davao International Airport, we can take things slow to savor and absorb the feel that we've in fact set foot here in Mindanao's biggest city. But you know what? Upon exiting the airport, I somewhat regret choosing to fly back home quick. Davao just exudes a feel very different from Imperial Manila that I just wished we could have stayed longer. Anyway, too late for that now. We can always visit Davao again one of these days. For now, we just have to make our way to departures and make sure we'll be able to board our return flight back to Manila. And so this is Davao International Airport's departure hall. Davao's Francisco Bango International Airport is the main gateway to Mindanao, as well as the third busiest airport in the country. According to sources, this terminal has about 28 check-in counters, handle both domestic and international flights, and is a two-level structure with shops located mostly on the upper level of the terminal. Being first-time visitors to this place, travel buddies Kenneth and Alex Luiz can't help standing off for a bit. But I just had to remind them that we gotta go on our way unless they want to get left behind. So up we go towards the boarding gates, passing by shops that seem to lure us with plenty of souvenir items. There are cafes and restaurants, by the way, where you can hang out if you have enough time to spare. But the shops, you just need a strong willpower to resist some merchandise, most especially when you get to see local snacks sold and those die-cast model planes. Okay, so there are dried mangoes, mangosteen, pomelos. Fine, tempt me with those. But please, let me skip the durian products, which you can find in different forms of pastries and candies that's sold in almost all the shops here in this airport. And as I try to evade those, we find ourselves walking along into a corridor where our boarding passes are meticulously inspected. By friendly security, of course. This is how I found most of the staff here in Davao's airport. It's not just smiles, it's big smiles. Now after the last security check, guess what? Greeting us up ahead are more and more shops. It seems pomelos are in season, and they're just simply everywhere. So I decided to bring home a few pieces which I stuck in my bag and gaining a few more subscribers while securing those pomelos as precious cargo. Next, we make our way to our gate, located at one end of the terminal. And by the time we got there, boarding process for our flight back to Manila has already commenced. Compared to our flight to Davao, our return trip back home seems to be a full flight. And unlike in Philippine Airlines where I'm often one of the first passengers to board, here in the Cebu Pacific, it's a cattle call where we simply have to line up.
Literal na nag-CR lang kami. Tsaka bumisil ng pomelo. Hello uli. O, sabi ko sa'yo, pasahero niyo ulit kami. Ay, sa A na kami. Sa A Alpha.
Yep, it's the same crew aboard the same aircraft. But wait, someone's occupying my assigned seat.
Si Sir Mitch ang nandun.
Oo, diba?
This is Davao, Manila. So, pa-double check na lang.
In times when someone takes my assigned seat, I always resort to the assistance of crew members to talk to the concerned passengers on my behalf. That way, I'd avoid coming aggressive or confrontational, and with things eventually getting resolved smoothly. And with it, I finally get my window seat back.
Should you need assistance, please do not hesitate to call on any of your cabin crew. In addition, please do not charge any electronic devices, including power banks, during this time. Para po sa inyong kaligtasan, mangyari po lamang tanggalin ang mga charging cables sa in-seat power outlets.
After a few announcements, pushback begins and safety demo follows.
Each seat is provided with a seatbelt to fasten push ends together. Tighten seatbelt by pulling loose and to unfasten, lift off of buckle and pull free end to release.
Shortly after safety demo, crew members do another round for passenger compliance, and not too long, we were taking off going on our way back to Manila. It's a routine. Once at cruising altitude, crew members begin preparing for in-flight service. And while they're at it, I can only enjoy the rare times I get to see the view of Davao's coastline. As I do so, it seems there's more to selling snacks and merchandise on our way back. This time, crew members begin holding out contests to put some fun and entertainment during our return flight.
Congratulations, correct answer is Kadayawan. Now on to our last question.
And after about 2 hours in the air, we were touching down in Manila. It seems we were gone from home for so long, and we just left this airport only hours ago. Well, we're back, and it's just good to be back home, where I'm eager to disembark as I badly need to catch some sleep after waking up so early just to try out this A330 Neo flight.
Thank you for patiently waiting. Now is the safest time to understand and get your bags from the overhead bin.
But not so fast. Me and my travel buddies have this agenda. Let all of the passengers disembark and be the last to get off the plane. We're taking a chance to ask permission to have our photos taken with our pilots. That means getting to wait and try out the forward seats while waiting for that opportunity. Sometimes there are days we get turned down, but there are times luck is just simply on our side. And when it is, it sure feels like we hit the jackpot. The captain himself happened to be the one accommodating us with our request. Invited to check out the flight deck, we just didn't let this chance slip away.
Hello. Kami yung kaninang umaga pa, sir. Bali sinakyan lang talaga namin yung itong A330 Neo. Sila first time nila. Yun. Okay lang, picturean ko. Yes, opo. Mahaba din po ko ngayon. Hello, sir. Ano name mo, sir?
Terence.
Okay. Akala ko kayo FO, sir, kanina. Kayo po ba yun?
Yes.
Okay.
Dalawa kaming inulit po ngayon.
Okay. Sige. Thank you, sir, sa opportunity na nakapasyal.
Yes. Let's say.
Picture.
Ayan.
Ang dami. Thank you.
Thank you rin. Nice to meet you.
Sige, sir po sa mga lipat.
Sandray, thank you po.
Thank you. Ano pala name niyo ulit?
Mitch Yang po.
Mitch Yang.
Well, it sure feels nice that my YouTube channel sound familiar to our pilots. Sometimes I get to meet some of them who've been watching my travel channel back when they were still dreaming to become aviators. I'm glad to have met them who have once aspired to become one and are now living their dream as an airline pilot.
Airline travel in airports.
Airline
Heard of it before. Yun. Sige pa.
Sa Facebook ba?
Yeah, meron sa Facebook, meron din po sa YouTube. Ano ba yung...
Sikat yan si Sir.
Airline.
Airline travel in airports.
Ayan.
In this case, it's an honor to have an additional subscriber who even happens to be a pilot himself. With all the camaraderie, it doesn't end here just yet.
Sige po. Maraming sideline cut eh.
What I love about flying Cebu Pacific, they sure live up making our flight experience fun for everyone. It sure looks like we're having a party, even when our plane is on the ground. Disembarking sure took a while, as saying goodbye to the crew had to conclude with a little photo op. These are simply good memories of our travel with them, and it's all worth keeping.
Thank you. Kap Bobet, thank you po ah. Eh, sige, i-airdrop ko na. Tulong mo sa Kap para may airdrop. Hindi ko marunong mag-airdrop. Sorry. Ah, si sir. Ayan. Tumata nag-airdrop sila ng photos. Stop the plane. Tapos ano, wala pa nakakalit na A330 Neo ako lang. Tagal pa, trip pa ng mga pictures. Ito na sir yung ay, kala ko saan pala tayo. Anyway, yung nag-iintay sa atin, kala ko paano tayo, Aero Bridge. Pero, hello, kuya. Nakatuwa. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Sometimes, there are just surprises in our flight that we never expected. Our feeling over today's flight in Cebu Pacific is something aviation enthusiasts like us can hardly describe.
So, uwi kami, nakala namin walang masyado nangyari, pero napakaganda souvenir. Kasama sila Kap, nakapag 0.5 po kami. Ganyan. So, oo, yun lang. So, sige, yun lang. Sa susunod na travel vlog. Thank you for watching.
Along with travel buddies Kenneth and Alex Luiz, this is Mitch Young. See you in our next Cebu Pacific flight.